It's the Paris Chong
How'd you get introduced to
Show.
Leica?
It was interesting. I have been good friends with Devin Allen for
Okay.
a while, and we had met. We met
Mhm.
online, and it was just that period of time where creating communities within Instagram, and yeah, Devin and I became friends, and he was shooting Leica.
Yeah.
I was shooting like maybe Sony or Canon at the time, and I eventually. Eventually I got with Fuji. I was a
Yeah.
Fuji X photographer for some years, and I was starting to get into these, smaller cameras and cameras that felt, more intentional. Cameras that look really good too.
Yeah.
Like, I love the way Fuji's and Leicas look.
Yeah, they're
They just
gorgeous.
they
They're
pay
sexy.
attention to. Yeah, they
Yeah.
are, and they
They
felt
care.
less like just a tool, but
Yeah.
more of something that people really
More
care
like
about
man
holistically.
candy
That's right.
or girl candy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Uh-huh.
Like they're just beautiful, and so I was an ex photographer for a couple years, and so but had also was friends with Devin, and I had met Omar Robles, and
I love Omar.
Omar is the
I
best.
love him.
Um, me and Jason ended up being Jason Stock Easy. We
Mhm.
had become friends. I just started having like these friends that were like a shooters, and who everyone, if you're a photographer, you know about Leica.
Yeah.
And so there came this time where Kieran she and I had started having these really light conversations
Mhm.
online, and Kieran was always very busy, but she made time, and we have these really really just kind of light conversations. And I don't think she knew I was with Fuji at the time, but she was like, "Hey, if you're ever thinking about shooting with Leica, like let us send you something."
That's cool.
It was awesome. It was
Thank you,
surreal.
Kieran.
I know
Bring
Kieran's like just this.
It's sad she's not here anymore.
I know, just she's still doing her thing,
Yeah, I know she's still in the
but
biz. It's all
yeah,
connected. It's all
exactly.
one family.
And exactly. And Karen is just, she's like this shining light,
Yeah.
and has been just like a really beautiful mentor and friend, and just like this big sister
Yeah.
uh for me. And so, but so I got a Q2 on loan to just like have for a little bit, and I was like, I kind of
Yeah.
like this. And I was actually in this interesting place with my photography at the time, was that I was, I don't know, I was getting fatigued with photography in the way that I was connecting with it, and it
Yeah.
just wasn't feeling as intentional. And um, so I started shooting I had an X-Pro3, which is like
Mhm.
Fuji's rangefinder, and that was nice. I mean, that would slow things down for me a little bit, and that was a good slowdown. And I was shooting a lot of medium format film at the time, so I was shooting a Pentax 6.7 and a Mamiya 645. And that was I noticed that I started to enjoy photography more,
Yeah.
and I was willing to take different pictures of things that had caught my eye in the day. When I was using those cameras, I wasn't thinking about where I was going to post it, or
Yeah.
if it was going to go in some body of work. None of that. I didn't think about anything about where the picture was going. I started getting more faithful to my own interpretation of what the world was looking like, and being willing to take a picture of it. And I had on Instagram, I don't have like some crazy big following. I have a decent following on
Yeah, I
Instagram,
only
and
joined during COVID.
really,
Yeah, I didn't wanna go on there, but I kinda had to I had to start doing live stuff for work,
I
so
remember just thinking, I don't, I come from the MySpace,
yeah,
Facebook
no, I
era
was, like, hoping
person.
it would go away
I
by
couldn't
now.
understand any of it.
But it
Instagram and
hasn't.
Twitter
I
to
shouldn't want
me.
that to happen on the show, so yeah.
But, like, I didn't understand the purpose of Instagram or Twitter. I was like, it's
Yeah.
like a Facebook or a MySpace, but
Yeah.
I can't really, interact with it. Was like, it felt limiting.
There's some good things that come from it, though. I've, like, connected with people I've lost touch with,
Yeah,
I've gotten jobs, I've made sales, I mean, so there's good things about it, but it's kind
yeah.
of it's a lot. It's a
It
lot.
was good. I mean, I met a lot of people, I met people during the Tumblr era as well,
Mhm.
but Instagram, I met a lot of people, a lot of photographers, and it was good, but I think at a certain point, it became one of those things where people like knew me for street portraits,
Yeah.
and I was feeling compelled to always create that kind of work, because I was like, well, that's the photographer I am. Like, that's,
Yeah.
I'm a street portrait photographer, whatever this means. Right. And so I was getting too deeply like just connected to what I was supposed to be doing, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is a thing that doesn't exist
Yeah.
in art, and it certainly doesn't exist in photography. And so for me, like starting to shoot more of the medium format film, which forces you to slow down, and shooting on a rangefinder, like well, the X Pro 3 is like it's kind of like a
Yeah.
rangefinder. That was a good process, and the Q2 was I love that, love the feel of it, the portability of it. Like I needed a camera that I could carry around with me
Right.
all the time, and yeah, I mean from there I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to buy a
Yeah.
Q, and Kieran had hit me up one day. She's like, "Hey, we have an M11 here in Boston. You know, if you want one." And I've been talking to Devin about the Leica
Yeah.
systems, and yeah, I just it's like, all right, let's do it. And so I bought an M11. I had made a little bit of change in the the crypto space,
Yeah.
and I was like, all right, I'll buy this thing. And if I don't like it, it's a Leica. It's gonna hold its value. I'll
Yeah.
probably be able to sell it
It's
for
like a
more than what
car. You
it
could sell
really
it.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like a
I might be
car.
able to make more money off
Yeah.
this thing,
Yeah.
than I bought it for. I didn't even have a lens when I bought it. I had to borrow my buddy Terrence's. He had a 50 mm
Hmm.
Summicron lens that he loaned me for a little bit. Uh,
You know you're a good friend when you lend out your expensive Leica
Man,
lenses.
yes,
I don't know
yes.
how that
We
is.
have been friends for a long
Yeah.
time, and he had I love him. He has more equipment
That's
than
like
me.
lending some chick your Louboutins. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna do. I
it's
don't think I like the sound of any of this.
the lens itself was worth more than most camera
Yeah. No.
bodies,
I know.
right?
I
And
know.
so he let me borrow this cron for a bit, and I was creating work with the rangefinder. It was a learning curve for sure because, like I said before that, I've been on the X Pro 3, which is not a true rangefinder
Yeah.
system, and this was, and so that was a little bit of I loved it. It
Yeah.
was like again, it felt like the camera was truly turning into a paintbrush, and I was having this this really like in-depth experience with the scene, with the subject, with the camera itself,
Yeah.
and I was like making this photo. And I know people feel a certain way about folks who say, "Oh, I make the photo." I take photos. I have no problem saying I go out and I shoot. I take photos. Sometimes I'll say I make a photo, but I mean make a photo in the sense of like the camera is all manual, and so everything that is reflected back in that picture is a result of a decision that you made,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Every single part of it, and that was the return to connection I needed to feel like I was making art.
Yeah.
And so it really revived a lot for me. I had left Fuji a little bit before that, and which was just I felt like I had done most of what I could do there, and there were so many like Fuji has this pipeline
Yeah.
of just like amazing creatives, photographers, filmmakers, and as an ex photographer, we're kind of sitting like at the top of that pyramid, like because they create these different pools for you to one for them to build a relationship with you and sort of understand your work and how they can best sort of amplify your voice and how you can best like kind of move into what Fuji needs. And then they have another like area where it's like, okay, you're part of this. We have built this relationship, and then you can apply to be an ex photographer.
Right.
And that ex photographer role or appointment, I guess, is I forget what it is now, but it lasts for some years, and then it kind of rotates. And so I had become an ex photographer in 2020, and it was good, but I felt like at a point I felt this was what I could do here, and it was like it's time to make room for for somebody else.
Yeah.
And that was that. I had left Fuji. I still have the X Pro 3. The X Pro 3 is a gorgeous camera, and
People love that
I'm
camera.
like I every week I'm like, oh, I'm gonna sell it. I don't need all these cameras, and I'll touch it, and I'm like, I don't know, and I have the
Collector.
yeah.
Camera
I
collector.
have the adapter so I can put a M
Yeah.
lens on it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, so
You don't need to get rid of it.
I hate getting rid of cameras.
Yeah. That's
I
no.
hate getting rid of
People
cameras.
just hate getting rid of things they love.
It's the Paris Chong Show.